and welcome to AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. Thank you very much for joining us for this edition of the program. Well, I hope you had a good weekend considering the circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, TNT, we recorded 15 murders over the weekend, and usually I try to start my morning in a more positive way. It's really the best way to start your day, but unfortunately, I'm not in a position to do that this morning. 15 murders recorded up until last night. I am not sure if the figures have changed since. I do not know if they've increased, of course, but to make you aware of the murders that we have recorded, the murders of Hassani Bonas and Jahim Charlos of Agostini Street in Gonzales, Belmont on Friday, Jean-Marc Von Rose, 20, and Kerwin McLeod, 44, on Friday night at Mango Rose, Duke Street in Port of Spain, and the triple killing of Dave Lyons, Jamali Goddard, and Earl Peters yesterday afternoon. That took place on the Southern Main Road in Canoopia. According to head of the Homicide Division, Senior Superintendent Sean Dipole, he's indicated that those murders, those 7, were actually all gang-related. The murders of Sean Nigel George, 36 years of age, in Sangranny on Saturday morning, as well as a Rima couple, Dwayne Richardson and Latoya Voisin, were all said to be drug-related, according to head of the Homicide Division, Senior Superintendent Sean Dipole. He added the motive for the killing of businesswoman Chris Ramarthan. That story in itself is horrific, but and taxi driver Shaquem Charles was the missing TTRS driver, TNT rideshare driver, who last week went missing. His parents got concerned after he had not returned home at 9 o'clock in the night. The following day, they made a police report, even offering a $15,000 reward. We carried that story throughout the day, of course, on Thursday and Friday on WESN, and the unfortunate news is that his body was found in Penal. Still not a lot of details to go there, but that robbery, as well as that of Chris Ramarthan and Densley Udovic, I said robbery, it's being deemed as robbery, these murders in particular. There's also an unidentified body of a man found in St. Madeleine on Sunday, and there was last night a murder on Charlotte Street in Port of Spain of an unidentified man, taking the total to 50, as I said, up until last night. I do not know if that number has changed. Now, the Commissioner of Police, Earl Airwood Christopher, held a press conference with senior police officers yesterday. She was asked the question as to whether or not the police have lost their handle on crime. The obvious response, of course, was no on the part of the police commissioner. She indicated that the police have, or she would like to believe at least, that they have the necessary resources and that more manpower was coming on board. It was also indicated that the TTPS, or Arms of National Security, would be assisting the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in their crime-fighting efforts. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of frustrating for me, sitting in this position, for all of us as citizens, that this is nothing new. 15 murders in one weekend is nothing new for TNT, and forgive me if I'm sounding heartless. What's even more frustrating for me is that the response from the TTPS is always the same. They held a press conference yesterday to address the surge in murders. Surge in murders is a term that we're using in the press. As I said, 15 minutes in one weekend is nothing new. The ICC World Cup is over, and so the criminals are back out busy. I don't know if you realize that for that particular period when we were hosting the games in TNT, things were a bit quiet, and I'm stressing on that, a bit, as compared to all the news that we are now learning of. However, it seems as though the gangs are once more doing what they do, and it's not just gang-related or drug-related. There are robberies as well taking place. Again, all this is subject to speculation, because you hear things from the police, you don't hear anything afterwards in respect to an investigation. I just certainly hope that the individuals, the perpetrators involved in all these crimes, are caught, but I will never hold my breath for that. She actually addressed, the Commissioner of Police, Earl Airwood Christopher, addressed the media yesterday, and by extension the nation, and she has assured that all police officers in all police stations across the country will be on high alert following a violent and bloody weekend. And again, you could say it's semantics, it's the language that she's choosing to use, but it will be alert following the 15 murders. We needed to be alert since 2 years ago when we hit over 600. We need to be on high alert for how long? And the problem is not the police response. Yeah, that's a whole different story that we can get into, but what about anti-crime measures? What about proactive policing? That is a major, major conversation that we seem to deflect here in TNT, and even the TTPS seems to deflect here in TNT. In fact, the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Junior Benjamin, he said, and I quote directly now, "As DCP in charge of operations, I want to say now that all the stations are on high alert. I also want to state that Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, we continue the fight. This is something that has been done for the last 2 to 3 weeks. We've ensured that more and more patrols are outside there." For the last 2 to 3 weeks? You want to assure that over the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've had more police patrols out there? Again, I am grateful to see police vehicles on the road, you know. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. The thing is, sometimes these vehicles are so dark, you can't tell if there's just one officer in there ready to respond to an incident or if there are multiple officers. And I go on the basis that recently, especially here in Port of Spain, I see one police officer to one vehicle. So when there is an incident, or when people call the police station for whatever the reason and they can't respond because there are no vehicles right now, what's going on there? There's a whole other story with respect to police vehicles parked up, rotting away. We're churning out new police vehicles every year. Some of these vehicles, I don't even understand how they're equipped or how they're the most suitable for the TTPS and their operations. Forgive me for ranting, but it's so, I'm fed up. I'm absolutely frustrated. And you know, this press conference yesterday, I mean, if the police said nothing, we would have been upset. Let's be real. If the police said nothing, we would have been upset. I get that they had to say something, but it's the same old, same old. It's like the same tune that they're singing, and quite frankly, we're not getting anywhere. And then, I don't even know what the Minister of National Security is doing. I honestly don't know what he's doing. I don't even know what the Prime Minister's head of the National Security Council is doing. I'm in the media. I can't even answer those questions for you. And that's just to tell you how frustrated I am, ladies and gentlemen. I know you are. But again, having to report on these incidents and having to report on, say, I don't know, like, if the police held a press conference, I could probably write a report before it even happens, because I know what to expect. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to take a break from my ranting now. We'll be right back, and we'll continue talking point.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Nah, you don't need to register nothing. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
They believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm not to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we
don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of this game.
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to pause on the conversation for crime here in TNT for a bit as we get into a quick regional update before I welcome my first guest to the program this morning. And I'm going to bring you this update courtesy of TVJ Television Jamaica, where they actually put together a report from their program All Angles, showing the devastation of Hurricane Beryl in Jamaica, but also the recovery efforts on the part of Jamaicans and the Jamaican authorities. So let's take a look at this report from Television Jamaica, TVJ.
Talking about recovering from the effects of Hurricane Beryl. Now, when community members in Mitchelltown, Clarendon told us that this house had been devastated, had been flattened, we thought they were exaggerating till we came to look. Tell me what happened when Beryl came. Were you here at the house? No. You had moved out before?
I come out. When they were moved out, we come out near my daughter.
Tell me why you left.
Because of bulldoze.
So you were afraid of what might happen?
Oh.
How many of you lived here?
5.
So when did you realize that the house had been?
Someone tell me.
And then you came, this is after the wind and everything stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So when you came here, what you saw?
Flat. Flat.
So you're still staying with your daughter now then?
Yes.
And what do you think you're going to do? So describe for me what happened to you.
Well, like when the hurricane came, I was home by my house, but I left and come here. So the hurricane, I was here, but my daughter and my son was at the other house. And the roof fell. While they were in it, so they run out and rescue, and another neighbor rescued him. So after the hurricane over, the top was gone, the house is destroyed. And
Which house we're talking about?
The one over by Rocky Settlement.
Okay.
With this, there was a shop here, and the shop is destroyed. Yeah, the shop fell.
It's a wooden structure?
It was a wooden structure.
And your other house that was destroyed as well?
The shop is a wooden structure, but the house is not. The house is a concrete structure.
Okay, so describe for me again what happened over at your house and the other shop.
Oh, when I was not there. It was my son and my daughter.
But what you see when you go there?
When I say at the devastation, the top was gone.
So the shop was destroyed and the roof for the house was gone. How you felt with all of this? That's a lot of loss.
It's a lot of loss, but me just have to give God thanks because my 2 kids were there and the roof fell with them in there and they ran outside and they are safe, and I'm giving God thanks for that. I'm giving God thanks that their life is safe, because running out in that hurricane they could have lost their lives. And I was saying to them when they in the morning when I saw them, I said in the evening, the night, because I saw them when I couldn't see them coming and I was fretting, and I said, but they said they're going to stay, and I said don't stay, and they stay, and I was fretting, and in the night now in the rain, my pastor took me around there and I saw them and I said, why? Your life could have been lost because you could be running out and then this thing cut the boat of you in two. So I'm giving God thanks for life. Not even what is gone, but my children's life, because I know them could have did. So me just give God thanks.
So these are members of your church family members too?
Yes. They're just boarding up here so that I can stay there for the time being. Yes, Mission Gabriel Ministries. So they are just doing it right now for me, giving a hand for me now, for me that I can be more comfortable, because
this is the house where your daughter lives.
This is where my daughter lives.
Tell me what happened with your house.
Well, the roof went about half of it and half of the shop.
Were you here at the time?
No, I was next door.
So tell me when you realized that.
I was peeping through the window because it's board window, so I could watch the breeze. So when I saw that it came off, I rushed over and used some zinc and tried to cover the clothes and the books.
You rushed over in the storm?
No, it was half done at the moment. So I came and took the zinc and covered the clothes and the books.
So how you been doing since that?
Well, mommy is worried, but I'm not too worried, because if you're stressed, I guess you're not going to change the situation, so you have to condition your mind to your situation.
So what is the situation? How are you managing?
She had some friend that came over and took the roofs back. Most of the clothes are wet, the mattress is wet, and some furnitures are swelling. But different from that, and she need water. She's worried about water because she need to clean out the room. Yes. Otherwise, I'm not. You have to be grateful they're here same way.
Because right now you mentioned water, because you still don't have water or light, right?
No water, no light.
You hear anything as to when you might get back?
Not sure.
You seem very calm though.
You have to be calm. As if you're worried you won't change the situation. But I'm more worried about mommy.
Are you able to, because I noticed you've been able to put back some of the zinc from
Yeah, because we picked them up.
You went and found the zinc and put them back on the room. How is it if rain falls, does it?
We're not sure yet, because since the roof no rain has fallen, but there are some holes in there, so I was wondering if when rain falls, they may wet again.
But you've been able to sleep in the house?
Yes.
And the shop now, what do you sell here?
Snacks. Mommy sells juice.
So you've been able to sell, or?
Yes, 1 and 2 customers same way.
So you
the
the shop
on, but it's not nailed down. We just put some force on the top.
So what do you think happens now?
I'm not even sure. Sometimes I don't even know where to start, but you have to just start somewhere.
You are saying to me that this is the worst thing that has happened to you?
Yes.
Tell me what you mean.
All of the zinc gone and house full of water, everything mashed up.
You were here when the roof started to go?
Yes, me and my baby father. The breeze was blowing. The front of the veranda part was coming. The sea would fly off first, and then the back started to lift. So I lose everything. Baby clothes, furniture.
Your baby is due when?
September. The due date is 23 of September. But the right date is 21.
You had all your baby clothes and everything.
Yes,
ready.
everything I have for my baby, but the storm come and take everything. And we don't have no food, no water.
So when you realized that the roof was lifting,
What were you doing? What did you feel?
I started crying because I want to start come out of America. And I say, first, my experience from Ivan, we just experience it from first. So I was crying and me and my baby father, because underneath my brother bed, when the house I come off, me go. And the rain was falling very hard. So we stay underneath the bed until the breeze kind of cut down.
You never afraid?
Yes, actually, I was so nervous because we never know what's going to happen.
You're afraid for your baby too?
Yeah. And I was so scared that I don't want nothing bad to happen.
So what do you think will happen now?
Well, I'm just waiting and see if someone could give me a little help.
Tell us what you need.
Like my bed mostly, and my baby things, them, and water and food.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a break here on AM Prime on Routine. We are going to welcome our first guest, the NPTA, to this edition of the program, One Routine after this.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lips?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful. The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the game.
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Nah, you don't need to register nothing. You don't need. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
They believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploiting the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us this morning. It gives me great pleasure to introduce once more to AM Prime the president of the NCPTA, Mr. Walter Stewart. He's with me today. Just slipped there for a moment, actually.
Yeah, that's quite okay. Good morning, and good morning to you, Mr. Shah. And of course, good morning to your viewers. This morning we have a very special guest with us in the person of Mr. Kurt Allen. We'll come to him in just a bit, but just to say that we had a little hiatus, and of course we are very happy to be back on set. During the time, of course, that we were down, we had the SCA results. And of course, that would be another story for another time because interesting results indeed, and of course, things to talk about. This is, of course, the second week of our school vacation, and we really want to wish all our educators, all our students a very safe, secured, and healthy vacation over the next 7 weeks or so. Really want to wish you all the very best. And of course, prepare for your new school year starting September 2nd. As I mentioned earlier, we have with us on set Mr. Kurt Allen, 8th place winner at this year's Calypso competition. And of course, he has a story to tell concerning his particular song, The First Investigation. And of course, it's probably opportune, Mr. Allen, at this time, as you consider that over the weekend, we've had very close to 15, if not 16, murders in our beautiful country of Trinidad and Tobago. And this, of course, is concerning and worrying to all of us. What part do you think music can play vis-a-vis crime and school violence in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, music is a major influencer. Music inspires love, music can inspire hate, music can inspire peace, it can also inspire war. It depends on how you connect and relate to that music. So that we believe that music, it's, in terms of calypso, we believe that calypso acts as a social, raises social consciousness within the society. So that we believe that the music of calypso can definitely penetrate and influence people into positive behaviors and attitudes.
Great. Tell me, what sparked this particular initiative, the first investigation?
The first investigation is a natural thing. When you look at the crime rate and you look at all that is happening, you must understand that each of these people, either who are committing the crimes, they have a mother, a father, they have a guardian, they have a teacher, or they have some sort of community influence. So we're saying that the first investigation, before it reaches to the police station, before it reaches to the courts, it must start within the home and community environment. And that's what the song is based about, in terms of we see all the crime and we know the impact of those things on the society. But we're saying that it must start. The first investigation, don't wait until something happens, then to say the police should get involved and wait until another murder and talk about the judge is not justice is not being served. That justice must be served within the household or within the communities, because we know that not every child is being brought up by a parent, or both parents. Sometimes, you have the orphanage, we have different circumstances, but there is always somebody of leadership influence, and it must start there.
So this social commentary really speaks to proactivity. In other words, the parent must be proactive in order to ensure that his children, or the children are not being led astray and led down the wrong road. But you see, we are always taken aback by that particular saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I mean, we are probably very far away from there now. But of course, we can always link it takes the village to raise the child in order to ensure that besides the parent, because as you correctly said, some children don't even have the parents around them, and of course they depend upon the village and the community. And we need to build back that community-spirited atmosphere in our society in order to ensure that our children are going to be well taken care of.
Exactly.
Don't you agree?
I agree fully.
Exactly.
Because when you look at, even when you talk about a village or community to raise a child, that was said in the past. Because in the past, it actually families made up the village and the communities. Now it's like housing areas and different people come in, so that family spirit is no longer present. So that it must, that's why I'm saying, regardless of the community you're in, the home, that home is your first community. That's your first socialization, your first family. It must start within that structure.
Tell me, last Monday, the Ministry of National Security launched a call to order where they partnered with Isasha, Prophet Benjamin, Mr. King David, and Siggy Rankin, exactly, in order to ensure that they bring a genre of music to be able to quell some of the violence taking place in our communities. How successful do you anticipate this initiative is going to be in terms of music and crime?
But I don't know, I can't measure the success based on just, what's happening. But what I can say, it will be a great influencer, because there are a lot of young people out there with talent who are waiting for an opportunity to express it. And I'm sure that within this framework, you're going to get some talent that's going to be expressing themselves, but also holding on to some of the things that they're speaking about, the value system. So I'm sure if it's 100 people that they target, at least 1 or 2 out of that lot will be able to make a difference. I'm sure about that.
It will be more than worth the effort, more than worth the while. Even though you're able to take 2 back out of the brink or back from the brink, it's going to definitely help that particular society. Tell me about Trinidad music. I know that recently we've had many issues taking place with regards to that, not only in our Trinidad and Tobago, but also in the region as well. The Trinidad genre music.
Gentlemen, my apologies. We have to take a break here on AM Prime. We're going to take a quick break and we'll return shortly.
Sure.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for, it's called loss and damage. And we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region.
Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Well, we're sorry that we had to actually interrupt that great conversation that was happening there between Mr. Walter Stewart and, of course, Mr. Kurt Allen. But we're back and we're live. And gentlemen, my apologies, but please continue.
Sure. So we continue. The Music TT General Manager, in responding to this A Call to Order initiative, and I quote, "Music can be a valuable layer in the psychological preventative work of crime." How do you allude to those kinds of statements coming from the Music TT General Manager?
Okay, when you hear a song, "Baby, I Love You," "I Want to Hold You Close," it inspires you to either buy a rose for the person you're talking about, or to hold them and hug them. If you hear a song say, "Jump and wave, take a wine," that is what you're going to do. If you hear a song say, "Pick up the machine gun and brrr, ta, ta, ta," and what do you think that is going to inspire? So that when you were talking about the Trinidad music in particular, it's not an indictment on the music per se, but the conversations that takes place within the music. It inspires people to think and behave a particular way. So that's why I'm saying music has that power of influencing. You may not actually pick up a gun and go and shoot somebody, you know, but the thought, the energy, the vibration that you're moving around with, it's conducive to bringing negative, negative energies and negative behavior.
Let's look at the steel band movement in particular. The president, Mrs. Christine Carla Kangaroo, in her inauguration speech last year, March 2023, indicated that there's a particular community atmosphere which instills discipline and structure in our steel band movement, of course, in particular in the steel band tents, for example. And of course, she wants to promote and market that as a means of even trying to assist our young people, our students as well. How do you react to that kind of...
That's a positive move, because when you look at the steel band movement and what it represented in the past, you hear about the steel band clashes, it's well documented in song. And you see the drill master, he could be equated to someone in the military who's that drill master, that drill sergeant, that calls the band together and knocks and brings things together. You see that same sort of family community spirit within the panyards. You could instill the same discipline, because it takes discipline to be a musician. It takes discipline to be a panist. And that is what the panyards bring. The panyard is like a home within a community, especially for a lot of young people. And of course, it brings out the talent. If you look at our pan musicians are our scientists, you know. When you look at the creation of the steel pan, that was thought to be something that is impossible. Even from the great Einstein, you can never get many notes vibrating from one membrane. That was the science of the day. The steel pan came and threw that out the door, where you get many notes vibrating out of one membrane. So that we must see our steel pan movement as a science, not just a musical instrument. And if we look at it in that way, then we should be developing probably institutions pan institutions where people from abroad come here to learn about the pan and learn about the science of the pan, not just the musical instrument, but the science involved.
It's probably opportune, that we're talking about pan because just last week in Parliament, a motion was moved, and of course, it's now, it's almost law based upon ascension by the president.
Yes.
That the steel pan, would now be the musical instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. So this is really, because where I came from years ago, I'm talking about the steel band was taboo.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Now the steel band is all over, even in churches as well.
Yes, exactly.
Never thought we heard of in my time, but of course not an acceptable instrument for Trinidad and Tobago, and of course I might just say international as well. The first investigation, could we hear a few, some music, some of it as well?
Sure. If I could get some music.
Sure.
Yes, I think we have the music that we can play.
There come
Well, of course, we talk about a hole in the country.
a bullet hole in the country.
And we
There
said to
come
fix
la,
it.
a bullet
And we call upon the leadership of Trinidad and Tobago
fix it, there,
to fix the problem.
fix it.
Now we're speaking directly to the homes. We're going into the homes right now, talking to the parents, to the grandparents.
The first investigation is the most important investigation.
Is the most important investigation. And let me tell you why. I just feel sorry, so don't get me wrong. For anybody I hear get gunned down, innocent victims, criminals or not, each and every gunshot rattle the same spot. But when I hear some families expressing grief, their attitudes does have me in disbelief. Criminals and thieves rape people and kill. The families demanding investigation still. But when as a youth they staying out late, that is the time to investigate long before they start jumping people gate. That is the time to investigate when your children passing the elders straight. That is the time to investigate when bad company start to infiltrate. That is the time to investigate. You can't wait till they're in the forensic center to abuse the police and try them for murder. Once your children have bloodstain on their hand, too late to launch investigation. Parents, stop cussing the policeman. You have to launch the first investigation. Now the real state of emergency. It's too much parents failing in their duty. Joint patrol with the police and army. Can't create parental responsibility. They're only fix it. So we call upon the politicians to help fix it.
The first investigation that you just put out there as well, through that particular, the first investigation.
Yes.
How do you see prose and poetry playing a role, even at our primary school? Because, of course, by and large, calypso is based upon poetry to some extent. How do you see that playing a role as well, even in the emotional intelligence of our students at the primary and the secondary level?
Well, in general, the arts definitely can play an important role. Starting from the primary school level, of course. It instills responsibility. It instills a sense of discipline. It instills a sense of teamwork. And these are the components that we need to have as a foundation, a value foundation for our young people to start to understand, well, okay, this society that you're in, you're part of it. And everything that you do will affect the society, whether positively or negatively. So we believe that arts education, regardless of if you want to extend it as a profession, you may not want to be a singer or a dancer, but it's still important to have this component as part of your value system.
How could you now use this particular song to benefit people in deprived areas, for example? Are you willing to take this music, and of course your other genres as well, into the deprived communities?
Yes, definitely. Right now we are speaking with the NPTA, of course, on an initiative to take the entire project not just to the schools, but to the communities and to the homes. So I know that this is an ongoing discussion, and it's something that is necessary, relevant, and timely, where we need to take the message to the wider population, especially. But, you know, over the weekend, as we saw, 15 murders, you know, and each of the people who committed one of those murders has a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, a community leader, a teacher, somebody of influence.
And it really speaks to doing everything possible in order to mitigate what is taking place in our society. And of course, no one seems to have the panacea, the solution, the ideal solution to solving the crime, but anything and everything possible that we can do as an NGO, as a society, as a community, as a people, to be able to pull us back from the brink, to be able to mitigate and reduce crime that is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. We need to pull all our resources in order to ensure.
Okay, exactly. Because what you're saying there goes into how this song was even sung for the carnival season. Is because I saw an article with you, speaking about the need for proper parenting and the need to take this message to the wider population. You spoke about an initiative that you wanted to do. And when I read that story, I said, aha, this song, and you know, this song was just in the embryo stages. I said, this is the song I'm going to present for the carnival season because it was inspired again by what you were saying. So it shows the influence that, you know, anyone can have.
Well, kudos to the National Parent Teacher Association. We are doing something right.
Definitely.
In terms of parental involvement, getting involved in our schools, getting involved in our communities, getting involved in the life of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Shah?
Well, you see, the thing is that I'm the host of the show, but I'm glad when we have guests like Mr. Stewart to just handle everything. Apart from which, I got the overall message. But on a side note, I have to say it's quite impressive sitting down and singing. I can't sing, but to sit down and sing is something totally different.
No, it is.
Mr. Case Allen, thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much. Yes,
I think overall, there's so many themes and messages that we can take from the conversation. But I like the fact that if I could just pinpoint one, it's we have it here, it starts here. Let's make it happen.
Exactly.
You know, and that's the overall thing, but a lot more to go with that. Thank you very much, Mr. Allen.
You're most welcome.
Mr. Stewart, thank you
My
very
pleasure.
much once more.
Anytime.
Thanks, PT, for joining us on AM Prime, and we look forward to continuing the discussions.
Thank you so much for having us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we take a break here on the program. We will return shortly.
Coming soon to WESN.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really
respond
wanna-
to me.
respond
Respond to
to
me
you?
how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren. Coming soon to WESN.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
This is Face of Sports WESN Content Capital. how you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break a balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of this game.
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Nah, you don't need to register nothing. You don't need. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
They believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploiting the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us this morning as we continue this edition of the program. Now, I started off my program by really lamenting the crime situation here in TNT, 15 murders over the course of the weekend. Tobago, however, is a different story with respect to per capita. They are per capita murders. They really seem to be. How do you even describe the situation in Tobago? That being said, there was a meeting between the Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine, and the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley. They have actually spoken of crime plans to be implemented, to the fact that the Chief Secretary has indicated that he believes that it will work. Now, it's good to see both of them working together to try and help the situation in Tobago. Where is this going to lead to? I'm now joined this morning by the head of the Tobago Civil Net, Mr. Rodney Pigott. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Kitan. Good morning to your listening audience around the world.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on the program, Mr. Pigott. I would start by asking you, the crime situation in Tobago seems to be out of control. You think it's good signs what we're seeing now between the Prime Minister and the Chief Secretary? They haven't had the best of relationship, but they've had a conversation and they seem to be on the right track. Does this strike the right tones?
Well, certainly, when you have the leaders, and they are in fact putting their heads together and showing a form of unity, then that can have a trickling down effect to the grassroots. If your head is out of order, you as a person, if you have a headache, it's very difficult for you to focus and do anything constructive. You certainly shouldn't be driving if you have a migraine headache or anything of that nature. Your head is out of order. So it's the same thing, so our heads have been, more or less performing dysfunctionally in terms of allowing the politics and the party politics to interfere with the proper guidance that the people need. And so now that they're putting their heads together and putting aside the politics and the party politics and coming together, then perhaps that can have a favorable effect. So that's just one component that can have a favorable effect on the social infrastructure of the nation.
Whilst I understand that Tobago is not necessarily immune to the gang activities that really has rooted itself in Trinidad, exactly where does this crime situation, what's the real source? So we heard from one Tobago chamber head that we need to stop blaming Trinidad, that it's really Tobagonians that need to sort out their own home. But, you know, in your opinion, where does this really start?
Well, Kitan, you and I have had, you know, this conversation, and you know my mantra. It goes back to culture. It's the culture of a people, right? And so if a people have been deculturized and that people never reculturized, then the math is simple. You are still deculturized, in a deculturized position. And the African people globally has been deculturized through the transatlantic slave trade. Did some serious damage to the African ethos, and a recovery has never really been effectively forthcoming on a wide scale. You have pockets of where you can see the benefits of reculturization. I will give an example right there in Trinidad. You have the Emancipation Support Committee, I believe is the name, the ESC. And if you see the work that they are doing with children and with youth, if you interface with those youth that are part of that ethos, the ESC ethos, where they can speak several African languages, they know their African culture, they know their value system. The young man spoke before when he was on with Walter Stewart, and he spoke about the youth, you know, walking by an elder and not speaking. That is something that is totally unheard of, or was unheard of in the African community, because that was part of our value system. So the value system of a people is within their culture. And so if you've been deculturized, then you have been devalued. You understand?
But then,
and so if you never reculturize, you never revalue. You see? And so that is the central crux of the matter. And no matter where you go, whether you're in Jamaica, whether you're in Haiti, whether you're on the African soil, whether you're in America, whether you're in England, you see the same problem. Wherever there is a large community of African people, you tend to have a high incidence of crime.
Then, Mr.
Right?
Pritchard, if this is the argument,
go ahead.
if this is the argument that you're making, it would seem very easy and simple to solve the crime situation, not just in Tobago but in Trinidad as well, to a great extent.
It is very easy, but it's also it's also against the order of the way things are in the world right now. In the world right now, you know, everything, money rules. Money is the god of the world right now. And those communities that have not been deculturized, devalued, they are able to navigate the current sea because they have their rudder. You understand? They're in their cultural boat with their rudder. So they're still dealing with the capitalism and the way the world is, but they're dealing with it from a perspective of they're within their culture. Let's take they say Indian. Let's say the Indian culture, for instance, in Trinidad, right? They're in the same community, they're in the same island as everybody else, but you don't hear of the degree of violent street crimes amongst the Indian youth as you hear amongst the African youth. So you must look at that and say, well, what is the difference You see, and if you don't look at it from that direction and say, well, what's the difference here? Why is it that all of these murders, the majority of these murders are being conducted by this culture of people, this race of people, and not by the others? Then you cannot say it's just a condition of Trinidad and Tobago that's causing it. You can't say it's just poverty that's causing it, because other groups also endure poverty. You have groups, I know that, they go to a place and they live 5, 10 people in one room. The Mexicans have done it when they come to America. Everybody do it when they go to different places. They fit 9, 10 people in one room. They live like that. They support each other because they still have their culture and their value system intact, even though they're dealing with the world, with the condition, the way the world is right now. But when you have a people that are not in their cultural boat, they don't have a rudder, they're on the same sea as everyone else. So the waves bash those people around, and those people react more violently to their circumstances because they're not in their cultural boat. That's the problem. And that's the direction that we have to approach from. It is the culture of a people that nurture them, that maintain them, right? That grow them. And when they go astray, when they are damaged, it is their culture that repairs them.
I hear you, Mr. Piggott. But you say this is the direction we need to go. I mean, I can speak about the crime plan on the part of the TTPS and even measures that were spoken about at the press conference in Tobago. I think it was last week or the week before. But I'm more curious to hear what your argument is and how it is we actually go about, where do we start in respect to heading into that direction?
Well, one of the things that we must do is we must identify those persons, those groups that are actually doing it. So there's a model in place. There's a gentleman right there in Trinidad that I know of, and I'd like to get in touch with him and see what we could do to work together, by the name of David Mohammed. You may have heard of him. This is the gentleman that works on the ground with youth, especially the youth men, the African youth men. And he has great success in working with them because he's using a model that has been used and fine-tuned by the Nation of Islam, right? Called the NOI. And they have used this cultural approach to reaching young men, especially young African men that are just out there, wilding out. Just the waves are just bashing them around, and they're just really the kind of people that would sell their own mother down the river for a chance to get some respect, which is what the African youth is really after. You see, we must understand that. What is it that they're after? So this has been identified by those kinds of groups. The ESC, as I said, is also a great model. Let us look nationally at what they are doing, what they are accomplishing with the youth within their sphere of influence, and let's look at those youth and see how they are responding to the cultural approach that the ESC has taken and is taken. Let's look at those youth. Let's put them on a pedestal. Let's beef them up. Let's show them to the nation, to everyone, and say, look, these are, because I know personally, I have seen it, I've seen it in action, that when you approach the African youth from that perspective of their culture, it gives them a sense of, it just like redeems them from the inside out. It gives them purpose. It gives them value. They see themselves in a totally different light. And when you socialize the children. And there's a verse that talks about, bringing up the child in the way that they should go and they will not depart from it. Well, the word way is culture. The word way is simply your culture, right? So socialize the child in the culture that they are in, that they ought to be in, that is very much in their very cells, right? And when they are grown up, they will not depart from that culture because you've ingrained it in them from a child coming up. We no longer have rites of passage.
Mr. Pickett, let me ask you,
yes, go ahead.
If family and cultural values are being eroded or have been eroded, and families themselves now do not necessarily represent or representative of the families from yesteryear or families growing up, or what we know is right, or what we deem to be right at least, how do you now push for that paradigm shift? You see, the whole thing is a bit confusing, that if we are speaking about solutions and we are speaking about family-oriented solutions, if families themselves are broken, how do you fix that?
You have to start somewhere, right? One of the things that we tend to focus on is we tend to focus on attempting to fix what is currently broken here, as opposed to what has not yet been broken. Let us indoctrinate that. Because if you spend all of your energy trying to fix what is broken here, right here, no, right? You heard the song that the young man just sang, right? He talked about once, I think it's something to do with once they have blood on their hands or something of that nature. So in other words, once they have reached a certain a point where they have tasted blood, it is very difficult to bring them back from that edge. So you don't want to focus all of your energy trying to bring them back from that edge, and you're forgetting the children coming up behind that have not yet been broken. They have not yet tasted blood. You're neglecting them. You're not giving them the proper instruction that you should have given the ones that are broken. You see? You haven't given the ones that are broken the proper instruction, and the ones that are not yet broken, you're not giving them any instructions. You're not teaching them how to drive. That's what rites of passage is. Rites of passage is teaching that child, once they reach a certain age, adolescent age, 11, 12, your body is now changing. Things are now changing for you. That body you have is no longer a go-kart where you just run around and skin around and things of that nature. You now have to be more circumspect in your movement because you're no longer a little child. No one's just going to look at you like a little child anymore. You're now growing up. So people are going to start treating you like a young adult now. There's a different way you now have to apply yourself to your society. You see? So you have to give them the driving instructions at that age. How to navigate your society. What do you mean to your society, your community? Who are you? Give them those instructions. But when you don't give them those instructions, I know they're 18, 19, they're 16 and so forth, and they're wilding out, and they're looking for instructions. So the gangs say, come, we will give you instructions. Because you're not getting it over there, you're not getting it from your home. So come to us and we will give you instructions. You see.
Well, Mr.
I know they get the wrong instructions. I know you want to fix them.
Mr. Pickett,
but go to the ones that are not yet broken, the ones that have not yet got those instructions from the gangs and so forth, and give them the correct instructions. You see.
Mr. Pickett, as we are closing our conversation this morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I mean, you've shed a light on a different avenue, a different angle on this particular subject of crime, not only in Tobago but in TNT as a whole. This doesn't sound like something that necessarily starts with government heads. This starts with society itself, and therefore I'm asking you directly now, what is civil society's role in leading the way for the points that you raised this morning?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you've said it right there on the button. You hit it on the head, right? It is a societal problem. It's a social issue. And so the society, the people within the society, the grassroots people, have got to now begin to put their heads together. Look to organizations, like I said, there are organizations that are already doing it, that already have a model in place. We need to begin to look to those organizations to see what they're doing, how they're doing it, and begin to model the success stories that are coming out of those organizations. So I identified that I know here in Trinidad and Tobago, Emancipation Support Committee, and this gentleman, Mr. David Mohammed. He is boots on the ground. He is working with youth, especially young men, and he is having great success in indoctrinating those who have not yet fallen into gangs. And because he has the boots on the ground science, he has that down pat, he's now able to also reach with modicum success some of those who are already broken, some of those who already tasted blood. You can save some of them, but you don't want to put all your energy into trying to save all of them, because then you're forgetting the ones that have not yet been broken, and you don't want to do that. That's where you want most of your energy to go, is towards the ones that are not yet broken. You want to reach them and teach them how to drive. All right?
Indeed. Thank you very much, Mr. Piggott, for your time this morning, and thank you for joining us on the program. All the very best to you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Take care. Mr. Rodney Piggott of the Tobago Cylinder joining us on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, shining a light on a different angle of conversation this morning. And I think in the context of everything, it's certainly a bit refreshing to learn that it's not just CCTV cameras and more police patrols. It goes further and beyond that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for AM Prime. I'm Keaton Shaw. Thank you very much to all my guests for joining me this morning. And thank you very much for you, the viewer, for joining me. Of course, we're going to have a great day ahead, I hope. Fingers crossed. May it be a better week than weekend. And we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.